Alaska, Grim After Dark, starring John and Danny. This is Tricky Dick. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's John and Danny.
Oh, well, the curtain go like it's not just a sudden cut to me. It's not a fade out. We even get a zoom in here. Like, this is living the life. Holy cow. Hey guys, welcome to Grim After Dark. My name is John. This is your weekly rundown where we hit the high points of the last week in the Warhammer community with the best players. Today, play on tabletops, resident Elven expert and Tanya Gates chess chopper, JT McDowell joins us in the return of our Iron General segment as he and Danny battle it out with 3 army lists, each from the new Codex Aeldari, fit for any playstyle. Let me just say, both of these guys, very, very excited about this book. Holy cow. It's insane. But first, my co-host today needs some introduction. He's the terror of the mid-tables. It's Danny McDivett. Danny, you are, like I said, very excited about Codex Aeldari.
Yeah.
As can be seen in this recent picture we used to advertise the show this week.
Mm-hmm.
You love you love it so much. Spoilers. That you're going to kill anyone if they try and take it away.
That's right.
Some mixed reaction from this, but Danny, I know Mob Rules, we dropped a 3-hour deep dive into the Aeldari Codex this week, but in a fraction of that time, what has got you so excited about Codex Aeldari?
Well, if you don't want to listen to Codex Aeldari, the audiobook, like short and sweet, I think that it's definitely playable now. I mean, not that Craft Worlds was unplayable, but it definitely was not competitive, and I think it's competitive now. So I'm pretty excited that they're not like out of the gate probably broken like Custodes and Tower. So hey,
yeah, my favorite. Sorry, on you go. Yeah.
No, I don't. That's it. I'm done.
I was gonna say my favorite part was the meme-tastic spamming of the terrible but hilarious Eldritch Storm combo we made up there, Danny. Yeah, Danny, of course, marked safe from Eldritch Storm today. But Danny, what was this awful combo we came up with? In a fantastic world where we don't have to rely on dice, how does it work?
All right, so here's the combination, guys, and write this down because you're going to be seeing it on top tables near you sometime soon.
It's going to work once.
You're
going to love it.
No, it's not going to work even one time, guys. So you take 3 regular Farseers and 3 Farseer Skyrunners and Eldrad, and you use the Eldritch Storm stratagem. So that's 7 Farseers that can all do the psychic action to increase the number of mortal wounds done by Eldritch Storm. So you can potentially get D3 plus 7 mortal wounds on any unit that remains within 6 inches of the Doom area.
Yeah, which is fantastic. Now it does cost at least, what you would say, 3 detachments, a buttload of command points, all of your psychic powers.
Yep. 800 points of Psychers. Don't forget that.
800 points really of Psychers. But one time you pull it off and really cripple some units, hilarious. You're going to lose the rest of the game, but it'll be really good. And Tamagotchi, thank you. You can only use 1 fate dice per psychic power. Absolutely right. But anyway, you're not going to see it on top tables. We just thought it was fun to do up to 10 mortal wounds to every unit in a 6-inch area.
John, agree to disagree.
You can also there's other strats and things where you can slow people down as well. So even though it's like a fancy orbital bombardment, you can make them stay and really make that apothecary pay for existing.
I mean, he'll only take mortal wounds on like a 4, but if you roll that 4, he's probably dead.
Yeah. What's better in top tier competitive Warhammer than a 50-50 shot of 1,000-point investment doing wounds to a single character who costs less than 100 points? You love to see it. It's going to happen. Space Marine players, though, feeling left out, have started to convert their way out of the power imbalance by kit bashing this, which is, I can only assume, is a compensator class grav tank. This person here, Robert Davey. Oh, what a champ. We have this picture, which is the repulsor covered in guns, covered in armaments. This insane man has bought everything necessary to make this conversion, which at this point, I'd be willing to let him feel. Fueled by alcohol and an unlimited budget, the sheer Americanness of this conversion has me tracking his progress with fear and awe. Danny, what kind of rules would you throw on that compensator tank?
I wouldn't, John. It's garbage. It's fucking bullshit.
Great. We used our one before we even came up to the janky combos that you guys came up with.
That's what I did. I did it, John. I used it up.
Hey, guys, Chaos Space Marines are finally getting what everyone has been clamoring for. No, not another wound, but a kill team box with some great little upgrades. Some of these are great. The guy on the bottom left screen here looks like he's uncomfortably smiling for a family photo. And then there's going to be a lot of like possessed kits and everything that you're going to be able to make out of these things. Daddy, what are your thoughts on this upgrade sprue being released?
John, I think the models look great. I'm pretty excited for Chaos Marine players. I think this, if some of those young rumors are true, and you're looking at some Legionnaire squads that are like the equivalent of kind of some veteran Space Marines, I'm excited about it. I think that looks really cool.
Yeah. Or as Chaos players would like to respond by saying, still doesn't make up for the fact that they've been fighting for 10,000 years and still die too easily. Follow-up question. I just thought of this on the fly, Danny. This is how we're rolling right now. Okay. What will Chaos players whine about when Chaos Space Marines are 2 wounds?
Great question, John. I have the answer for that, actually. In a recent poll, Chaos Space Marine players would complain that they don't have a 3rd wound.
Fair. And then thank you, Chad Jolikins out there saying the bottom left is Kelsey Grammer. And I'm always
I'm all about that
Kelsey Grammer reference.
That guy took a trip on the money plane, John.
He did. Yeah. Whoever won to say, no, I'm not going to finish that quote. The inaugural Cherokee Open happened this weekend, with the top 8 being summarized in these 2 images. First, the Custodes, with this wonderful SpongeBob meme of an Emperor's Choice enlist with Trajan Valoris, being a very daring choice. Those. And then, of course, the smug aura of a Tau finale, mocking the competitive scene with its pure existence. And Jack Harpster, of course, starting the 2022 season off to a shocking start of an Art of War win at a major event.
I have to say, can I talk about his list for a minute?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead. I was going to say, I did get in trouble for using sarcasm before, but wow, an Art of War podium.
No. I mean, like, what a garbage list. Like, come on, guys. Like, the fact that it's clearly a loophole that you can take an Ethereal and a Farsight enclaves like Aligned World is bullshit. Like, I get that you're playing for the win and like it's important to bring the best list that you can, but God, that's so garbage.
Danny coming out hot by saying the first winner of the first event of the 2022 season is a garbage person doing garbage things. I think is what we can summarize from that. So, Danny, do you expect kind of another dominant year from the Art of War guys? Or do you think Siegler is going to try and win the entire ITC with only like 4 or 5 events this year?
Yeah, he's going to try and take a one event handicap and try and win on five events. No, but for real, yeah. I mean, of course, like I think for ITC, like especially when most of the events are US centric, these guys play more than any other group of people. Like they have the time, so they get the reps in and everything else. And so because they're playing, professionally, right? Like these are going to be the guys that'll win events. That's that's kind of the way it's going to be. Like unless you're exceptional and you can put in the time and the reps to play as many games as these guys do. And these aren't just like bad quality reps. Like they're super high quality. Like I don't know. I think it's going to be really tough to beat these guys in events in the future. So.
Yeah, and here we go. And then Beard AK is asking in chat, is Seth, I'm assuming he's referring to Seth Oster, co-host and lab weight of Signals from the Front Line, if he's going to be jumping to Aeldari now. No. But I think he's already coward jumped to Tau, right?
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
Like,
Also, chat,
an absolute coward. Yeah. I mean,
Man,
there's no. I don't have to add anything to that at all, John. You're just
No.
right. He's a coward,
And here's the thing.
he's jumped to Tal already.
We've jokingly ragged on Seth for about 20 weeks in a row now. And now, thank you, chat, for jumping in and ragging on him too by saying Seth will dig up a 20-year-old photo of him playing Elder as an excuse of why he's playing.
Oh yeah.
now.
Hey, sorry. What's up?
Sorry.
Hey,
yeah, what's up, bud?
I don't want to be a downer, guys, but I'm almost positive we're not allowed to use Seth's name in.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
Seth Oster.
Seth Moister.
Yeah, you have to
Monster.
change his name. Remember? Yeah. Okay. I'm out of here.
Thank you.
No,
You know, and like, first of all, I'd also like to say that I definitely have not also started a Tau army like in this interim, so my shit talking is absolutely meaningless. And yeah. Anyway,
to be fair, GW did send you like the start of a Tau army to review, so it would be rude not to use them in that way.
My review is ongoing, John. It'll be the next 6 months or so.
Oh man, yeah, Chad, if you have a better name to call the person we can't mention, let us know and we'll adopt it. Hey, Daddy, last week's episode was a laid-back Seinfeld-esque show about nothing. Boy, did bots love the unicorn. With this comment coming in saying, I love how his voice is freaking deep, but his personality is a whole different level from sounding mean and a rube to actually being sweet and nice. Crying face emoji, praying emoji. Jasmina Gaming, crying face emoji, shush face, crying face emoji, crying face emoji, crying face emoji, crying face emoji. I thought it was very important to read that in its entirety because it wasn't automatically generated. To which your wonderful producer got to reply with, wait, the unicorn? You're talking about the unicorn. Danny, was this person here referring to myself, you, or Rainbow Sparkles, our magical guest producer?
I mean, clearly I'm a font of positivity and really cute and have a deep voice. So all of those things kind of add up to one inevitable conclusion. I am the one that got all the crying face emojis.
I'm the one who got all the shush emojis, like, please stop talking.
And John, for once, it's not at a children's party, so I'm really happy about that.
Hey, thank you, chap, for that nickname suggestion of Bandwagoner the Mad Ethereal, which is quality. Love that there.
It's perfect.
So, guys, today we have a very special episode. Danny's going to introduce our guest in just a little second here. We're going to go over our format of what we like to call an Iron General competition. So we have Danny as a resident jack of all trades going up against our guest here to create 3 unique army lists with a theme. So our theme this week, obviously, with the brand new Codex Aeldari, is going to be Codex Aeldari. So we tasked our guest and Danny for making one Ulthway list, one Samhan list, and one custom craft world list using the new Codex 2,000 point ITC mission style. And that was the only limitations. It had to be from those craft worlds for each one. So we're going to see what list came out of this. And like I said, we're going to have 6 really good lists that are all a little bit different. And then we're also going to see what's kind of shared between all of them. So I think there's going to be probably 3 or 4 units that are common between all of them. But we're excited to see what's coming on here. And guys, we have visuals for it this time. Last time we didn't, but this time we prepared for like 5 minutes. So welcome, we have something.
Like, I dusted off all of my PowerPoint skills here. It took me a good 15 minutes to make these slides. And so, please enjoy them. Don't heap on the praise too much. Like, my head can't take it.
Yes. And then Tom Chase, yes, the ITC uses mainly the missions from the 9th edition, not the rulebook, but the Nashman tournament packet. So it follows along with whatever the latest GT pack is, which right now, Nashman. Danny, I've talked far too much. Over to you.
Great. So tonight, we're pleased to welcome Play on Tabletops, resident pointy-eared, and probably the most cuddly elf player you'll ever meet in your entire life. We have JT McDowell on with us tonight. Welcome, JT.
Woo!
Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, just looking at my phone, bringing up my lists. I'm happy to be here. I'm kind of coming down a little bit off the Eldar buzz from this afternoon, but I'm raising it back up again. I'm coming to you live from the 70s style bedroom because that's how old my Eldar are. I kid you not, I have actual lead Eldar models. So yeah, I'm excited about this. It's going to be fantastic. What a book.
So
oh my goodness.
if he doesn't beat you in the battlefield, he's going to give you lead poisoning from touching his miniatures. It's just perfect.
It's entirely possible. Yeah.
You love to see it.
Oh yeah.
Lots of love for the drapes in the chat, by the way. Lots of love.
Oh, the wood paneling, the fake wood paneling is awesome as well. That's just the best.
What's really funny is like if the wind blows too long, it's just a big picture behind you, so it falls down, and it's actually like a factory behind you.
Basically, yeah.
But Danny, explain the concept a little bit. Why don't you get us taken away with our thangs?
So we are first we're gonna look at the Ulthway list, then the Simhan lists, and then we're gonna look at the custom
craft world list as Danny's mic drops in and out a little bit there.
Anyway, so hopefully that helps. I had to jam it back in there pretty hard. Make sure that fit. It was a tight fit, but it came out a little bit. So just got to put it in there, and you leave it in there. You don't take it out. Just stick it in there and leave it in there. All right.
It's been used a little too much, and it's a bit loose. So you got to get a new cord.
Sorry, I'm using I use my mic all the time, so you know. Anyway, so I wrote this. So it's some lists we wrote. A Journey into the Unknown is the title of my slideshow that I made.
That's right, guys. We got PowerPoint now.
Yeah. So first we have JT's Ulthway list. So JT, why don't you walk us through your Ulthway list? Why don't you talk about the choices you made and why maybe you made some of those choices?
I've always been a big fan of Ulthway as a craft world. Ulthway and Samhan actually are probably my two favorites. I love the bike aspect of Samhan. So super fun. But this list that I've come up with is not as broken as I could have made it. But it revolves around 3 Farseers simply because Eldrad and Farseer Skyrunner as well as a Farseer are just absolutely so cool with the new Fate Dice mechanic, the ability to manipulate things, and I think that's really going to be a big part of the way Eldar play. Maybe not as much as some people might think, but it's the ability to manipulate the game state. Anytime you can get an advantage from that, I think is huge, and that's what the 3 Farseers do in there. I've also gone with a 20 warrior blob guardians because I just love the concept of 20 guardians jumping out of a webway portal because I put that in there too, and shooting from 18 inches away, 40 shots with black guardians hitting on ones, rerolling ones, and all that. +1 to hit and rerolling ones. I mean, it's just gross. And then a couple fire prisms because, well, why wouldn't you want linked fire? I mean, that's just really cool.
So, guys, why don't you take us through? There's a little bit of jank that goes into those 2 fire prisms, right? So it's going to
take us through that. The fire prism jank. I almost forgot. So both of them have vectored engines and a crystal targeting matrix. So crystal targeting matrix is really cool. 10 points, and it lets you ignore any to hit modifiers, which is kind of big with the amount of -1s, dense cover, and everything else floating out around there. But what's even cooler is vectored engines. So in your command phase, before your turn, you issue the command to one of your tanks with vectored engines. Once per game, it gets battle focus, which means instead of having to fire and fade your prisms to link fire them, you move one, you shoot from it, and then you move it back into cover with the battle focus ability of the Eldar. It's some serious jank for 10 points. But I think it's going to see a lot of play for those who like the fire prisms. I really love them. I think they're a cool model, and it's going to drive people absolutely crazy with the fact that for 2 command points, I'm hitting you with 4 super duper killer shots or a crap ton of scatter shots that are just going to wreck absolutely anything they target. So it's a really solid backline type unit. The E-cannons are incredibly good. Ignoring line of sight. I mean, these are high strength support weapons that can sit in the middle of the board or a quarter way up the board and just bomb the heck out of your opponent. And of course, Ulthway gets the 6-up invulnerable save across everything, which is really, really cool as well. And then Shroud Runners, because I think the models are really neat, and you do need something to be able to run forward and grab objectives early. There's also 2 squads of Rangers in there to do the same thing, both with the Gloomfield and Wireweave, which, it is extra points for those, but the ability to always count as in cover outside of 12 and your ability to stop somebody from charging you is really strong if you're in a mid objective and if somebody's trying to get there on that first turn charge.
Just to be clear, JT, that is illegal. You can only have one of those per 5 guys.
You can only have one? Oh, well, that's crap. Okay, then one gets one gets the other, and they both go on the same side of the table. How's that? That works too, right? So it's like, which one are you charging? Oh, you. Exactly, right? And then Warp Spiders with Web of Deceit for the Exarch power. I think it's probably my favorite one. It allows you to, after you shoot, basically pick them up and move them. And you can redeploy them like a deep strike, which is really, really powerful to shoot something in your opponent's table and then run back to your own quarter, or vice versa, right? They're there in your back quarter. You shoot something that's threatening your home objective, and now it's suddenly on the other side of the table. Storm Guardians in a patrol with Janezar and 10 Banshees with Graceful Avoidance to give him the 4-up invuln in combat. But that is my hardcore objective flipper. The fact that Phoenix Lords give their Aspect Warriors objective secured is really, really powerful. And when you add that with the Banshee's ability to ignore Overwatch and to basically shut down your whatever you're charging, and the sheer number of attacks they have, plus you've got Janezar, you will constantly flip objectives when you need to. And that's, as we've seen in the Nockman missions, you need OBSEC and you need to hold objectives and you need to be able to flip them. And the Banshees are strong enough and powerful enough that they're able to do that. And of course, the Webway Gate's in there, which is probably, it's already set the internet on fire. For its, I think it's like 80 points or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
You can basically park it in the middle of the table and walk stuff out of it. So if you could imagine, oh, I'm safe from the Banshees. Actually, no, you're not. Here they come. Or here come the 20 warriors that are the 20 guardians that are going to shoot you 40 times because, I'm in the middle of the table and you oath a moment. What? Good night. I think it's absolutely ridiculous and a ton of fun. Is it super optimal? Maybe not. Is it really fun? Oh, yeah. That's what I came up with for Elfway.
Yeah. Danny, what are your thoughts on this list here that JT came up with?
Well, first of all, I'd like to put the caveat on this that these aren't cutting edge competitive lists. None of these are, right? So I think it's important to remember that, especially since we haven't seen what the meta is for this kind of stuff yet and kind of what things are going to be the best choices. So we're kind of making some educated guesses on things that we think are going to be good. And actually, there's a lot of similarities between JT's list and mine. I do like that JT refers to all of his Farseers as Fartseers in both this list and the other one instead of Farseers. So you got to love that.
Stupid autocorrect.
Hey, thank you so much.
It autocorrects you to Fartseer?
It does.
Okay, that's the thing where we don't ask the question. But thanks to chat for pointing out that currently Webway Gates are going for over $200 on eBay.
Holy smokes!
So after this, I'm going to go down to my crawl space and pull out a Webway Gate. But anyway,
crazy.
Danny,
wow.
Do you have any Shart Seers, or is it purely Fart Seers for you as well?
No. Actually, I only took the one Farseer, the one to rule them all, Eldrad. So first of all, I'm like an Ulthway fanboy. It's my that's how my Eldar are painted. I like this. I like them the most. I chose some different choices, but some of the same ones. We both have Decans, we both have Eldrad, we both have some Rangers, we both have a big squad of Guardians. But I went a little bit different with mine. So I have Eldrad, I have Baharoth, which I think is by far the best Phoenix Lord, probably my favorite model in the entire book. He's really cool. I've got a Spirit Steer with the Weeping Stones. So these let you retain an extra. Is it roll an extra dice or retain an extra dice? I don't remember. It's one of those things. So because I get to roll, the Ultimate Warlord trait lets you roll an extra dice, I think, and then the other one lets the Weeping Stones lets you retain an extra one. So I get to roll 7 dice and keep 5 for my fate dice, which is pretty cool. Then I've got 2 Wraith Lords with double Shuriken Cannon and Ghost Slaves. I think these guys are just a really good choice in general. Very solid. They fight well. They shoot pretty well. They're medium tough, and with the Spirit Seer with the Weeping Stones, they get to reroll 1s to wound around them, which is pretty nice. Plus, you get to reroll 1 of the 2 wound rolls with Ulthway as well. I've got 5 Warlocks with the Seer Council upgrade, which I think is a pretty fun upgrade. It's 1 command point. It gives them Bodyguard, and also Farseers run them +1 to cast, which is nice for Eldrad. And then I've got 20 Guardian Defenders, which I'll probably just put in the Webway so they'll deep strike in. And I figured like they can come in, one guy can stand next to the objective and give the whole squad reroll 1s. I've also got a lot of Swooping Hawks, guys. So I've got 2 units of 5 Swooping Hawks and 1 unit of 6. So the reason I went so heavy on the Swooping Hawks here is because like their OBSEC around Baharoth, they're really good at like doing actions and getting objectives, but they also shoot pretty well. Each squad fires 20 shots that auto wound on 6s to hit, which is definitely pretty nice. And then I've got 3 Shadow Weavers, 3 D cannons, and a Night Spinner. So this gives me some great indirect. And just like JT's list, the weapon platforms, the support platforms, they have the Guardian keyword. So in Ulthway, you can spend 1 command point and give them +1 to hit, so they hit on 2s, which is pretty spicy. I'm trying to decide if I like the Night Spinner more than 3 Shadow Weavers. I think there's some good things and some bad things about between choosing the 2 of those. It just depends on kind of what your goal is, and I'm kind of trying to figure out what the best option is there. And there's literally a 5-point difference between those 2 units, and they're very similar roles, so it just depends. But yeah, this list is capable of doing some cool stuff. You can give Eldrad +4 to cast on his first power and +3 to cast on 3 other powers potentially. So with rerolls on your psychic test, which is pretty cool. Yeah, but it's a shooty list with just a little bit of counterattack and some melee. Not much though.
Yeah. JT,
yeah.
So kind of said similar to yours in some ways, and then way different in others.
Very similar. Yeah.
What's your take on Danny's list there, and kind of the changes he made compared to yours?
I actually, I'm on the same boat as Danny when it comes to the Night Spinner, because it's so close between the cannons and the Night Spinner that I find that it's almost see how it works. I really like that. I didn't have access to all the relics and stuff because I didn't actually have access to all the book stuff yet because of course it's not out yet. So I've been perusing with leaks. However, I think it's the Shrift Shroud of Alton Seer, I think is one of the relics that an Ulthway Farseer can take, which gives you, if I remember right, it's something about cannot deny if you cast on a 9 or higher. Which is
it's the Ghost Helm.
really
the Ghost
powerful.
Helm is what that is.
The Ghost Helm, that's what it is. Yeah, that's not the Shrift Shroud, the Ghost Helm of whatever it is. Yeah, so I think that's actually one of the relics that if you're going to run a lot of Farseers, I think it's a good idea to have it, simply because you can jack up that Farseer, make sure the power goes off. You've got Fate Dice, you've got all the other mechanics that you can do it, and you can guarantee something to happen. And it doesn't matter if your stratagem says, "Oh, I did deny it on a 4-up." Doesn't matter. You can't deny it. That's really, really strong. I really like the Wraith Lords. They do appear in one of my later lists, so that's for sure. I think they're really, I mean, even with just fists at 3 damage are really good, but that glaive is fantastic. You can just chop the crap out of stuff. They're so much better than they were. The Wraith Construct ability just makes them so much better. The -1 damage is just so good. It's like Eldar Thick City. Here we go.
Yeah,
I really dig it.
Yeah. And guys, I appreciate your passion in chat here, but when I said crawl space, I was literally referring to the space. It wasn't a euphemism. No one's putting any models anywhere they're not supposed to be. Literally just a place underneath my home. But JT, please continue. I had to defend my anus quickly.
Wow.
I'm so glad I can't read chat. I'd be in tears laughing right now. I love Baharoth, and Baharoth is actually in my same hand list to keep with that sort of speed kills motive. He's a really cool Phoenix Lord. I think you're right. Outside of Jane Zar, I think he's probably my favorite. I really just dig the whole Jane Zar versus Drazar thing. I mean, I'm an Eldar fanboy. What can I say, right? Yeah. And I think it's a really cool combination. I love the way Phoenix Lords are so strong now. They're just so much fun. I really, really dig them.
So, Danny, what is it about? that you really like, and what makes him your favorite Phoenix Lord?
Just the amount of different things that he can do in one turn. Now, keep in mind, Phoenix Lords do get the keywords for their aspects, so they do give themselves OBSEC as well. So he's got a lot of really cool like objective denial potential. So Swooping Hawks in general, instead of doing their normal battle focus move, they basically just get the Deep Strike every single time that they after they shoot. So you can do some things with Baharoth where you can like give him +2 to charge. And then like from a psychic power, and then you can shoot something, Deep Strike, and then charge a 7-inch charge, and like anywhere on the table, and then he gets to do it again after he consolidates, unlike the normal Hawks. So you can basically just have him like fight something, maybe kill it, and then go back to your deployment zone if you want to, or wherever he needs to be. Or you can have him stay there because he's OBSEC and maybe steal like a backfield objective. So it's really hard to screen out a 25 millimeter base. And yeah, I think he's got just an absolute ton of play options.
Gross.
Yeah.
Both amazing lists, both very flavorful to Elfway and kind of what going. Danny a little less so because he only has the one Farseer, and it's the psychic place. I mean, come on.
I have a Seer Council, John.
I
don't see any
That's
Warlocks in
pretty
JT's list. I'm just saying.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
What do I say?
Yeah, very ashamed. So next up, Danny, what's our next craft world that
We got Simon, John. So we're looking at bikers. We're looking at speed.
And Danny has an all wraith list to go with his flavorful
red
army
because it's got to go fast.
Okay. So we have JT's list first here. So JT, take us through what you got.
I really leaned into the bikes and speed on this list. I have a ton of Eldar painted in same hand. Mind you, my Swooping Hawks, which show up in here, are actually in blue, so I don't know what to do about that. Maybe I repaint them. Maybe I don't. They're made of metal, so they're really old. But I started with an Outrider and put an Autarch Skyrunner and Baharoth in this list. Like I said, I agree with Danny. I think Baharoth is fantastic and can do some really cool stuff. But then I went with the double Shining Spears with 6 in each. Yeah, I know 5 is probably better to ignore Blast, but I plan to be charging up the board as fast as I possibly can, so you're not going to get to shoot me very much. One of the Exarchs has Heart Strike, and one of the Exarchs has Lightning Attack. So Heart Strike, if I remember right, gives him extra damage in combat, and then the Lightning Attack gives them a 6-inch Consolidate, which means that one squad of Shining Spears can literally cover half of the board in a single turn. And I've toyed with the idea of the new relics are really cool because you can give Exarchs relics, and there's a specific relic for Shining Spears that I think it's the one that does mortal wounds in addition every time you hit.
No, that's the
that's
GT,
actually
that's the Exarch power. The relic is the one
that's the Exarch power.
Yeah, the relic does mortal wounds on the charge.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so
yeah, you got it.
That's pretty cool. Did I put it in there?
No.
I
don't know. But it's easy to put in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just command points.
Yeah, it's then 5 Wind Riders with scatter lasers, 6-shot scatter lasers. You kidding me? That's 30 shots from 36 inches away. Like, I don't care that it doesn't have any AP. Goodbye, Orc boys. Goodbye, Horde of anything. You got 30 Devil Gods? Great, they're gone. Thanks. I mean, it's really, really cool, and they can move a ridiculous distance. So I think that's kind of fun. And then I go to Vipers, because I have custom made Vipers and I love them. Nice. And they're triple bright lance, which is got some. I mean, we all familiar with lances; they do ridiculous damage. So there's some tank busting for sure. Swooping Hawks with suppressing fire. This is kind of neat, just because suppressing fire. If you target a unit, you can choose that unit on I think it's a 3d6 roll over leadership. That unit cannot fire Overwatch, cannot set to defend. So it can help protect your Shining Spears going into, say, charging, I don't know, a squad of Acolytes with Hand Flamers or something. You can basically shut them down so that they can't shoot at you with Overwatch. 3 Warlock Skyrunners and 5 Shroud Runners. Shroud Runners are the new sniper on a bike, which I think are actually pretty cool and have some neat play to them. Their ability to do their pregame move is kind of key for a couple of missions. I think it's the first mission, actually, that if you don't hold a center objective, you don't gain a command point. So if you have no way to get up the board right away before the game starts, you're not gaining that first turn command point, which is kind of strong. And then the 3 Warlock Skyrunners, which I guess they could probably upgrade to a Seer Council if I wanted to. But again, Ruins of I think it's Ruins of Fate. Fateful Divergence gives you a command point every turn. So even though I'm running an Outrider and a Patrol, it doesn't really matter because I can always gain a command point just by casting a power with a warp charge of like 5 or something ridiculous. Fartseer again with a spear, or 2 Fartseer Skyrunners with spears. I mean, who else would you want riding with your Shining Spears but the guy who can doom and guide and all that wonderful stuff still? 10 Storm Guardians with a shield, and here's my fun one, 10 Void Reavers with a blaster and a Wraith Cannon. 18-inch range on both those guns. Void Reavers they cannot be the only unit in the patrol. That's what the Storm Guardians are there for. Great objective campers with a shield. Mini transhumans. So we've all seen that, autocannons and assault cannons aren't going to be able to wound them on 2s. They're going to have to still wound them on 3s, which is better than it would be otherwise. And then the Void Reavers are just kind of cool models. I love the idea of Corsairs, and they've got 2 big guns, so if you get close, you can wreck them. And again, D-cannon support weapons. I think these are great midfield control, can clear an objective, can bring some heavy-duty, high-strength shooting down. I toyed with the idea of going to the Shadow Weavers for the more shots, but I really think that the D-cannon, at the price it's at right now, it's really hard to say no to it. 2 of those is 130-some points. And, that's actually, I think, less than a Night Spinner. And I think it's easier to hide. It's a smaller footprint. And again, doesn't require line of sight. So stick it in a building that's got no lower level blocked. And you basically have to be charged in order to get rid of them. And it's pretty scary. Or get hive guarded, which if they're shooting at those 65-point models, here comes 12 Shining Spears down your throat. So it's a very aggressive, very fast list. It's designed to get up the board quick and put pressure on your opponent quickly. Is it super competitive? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to break any meta. But I think against an average player who isn't ready for that kind of pressure early, I think it's going to give them fits. And that's that. Anytime you make your opponent make decisions, then they can make the wrong one. And I think that's really where the magic in this is.
Yeah. Danny, thoughts on JT's Samhain list?
Yeah, I think it's got some really great assault units that are very quick. I like Braharath. I think that's a great addition to this list. I think the Autarch Skyrunner is pretty cool. I really like the Void Reavers. I think that's actually a cool tech choice. Now, JT, do you think you would equip them as close combat, or do you think you would do shooting options on them?
You know what? I didn't really. I put the 2 guns in there. They do get the power sword.
Yeah,
which
they
is
come with the
cool,
power sword, man. Like, yeah.
I'm actually tempted to leave them as that. But they are the Storm Guardians to hold the back line. But again, it's cheap wounds is really what it is. They're actually cheaper without the guns, mind you, than Guardians, because the unit size can be actually 5. So you can have really small units of the what is it, the Void, not the Void Scarred, they're the Void Born, right? Void Reavers,
yeah.
The troop choice. I really like the Corsairs. I plan to field an entire Corsair army, actually.
I think that'd be cool.
I love Eldar Space Pirates. Yeah, it's probably not that super competitive, but boy, it'll be fun to play. And that's really kind of where I'm at for the start of this Eldar season, because let's face it, there's no big tournaments yet. I don't have to break out the BS ethereal garbage. Sorry, I said something stuck in my throat there. I got a Danny stuck in my throat there. I don't know what that was. But no,
it's the first time Danny's heard that.
That's true, yeah. Well, I mean, what happens at Charity Hammer stays at Charity Hammer. So that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's right. It better not leak out. God, that would be rough. Just like
I really love that I really love that the Void Reavers are in there, or the whole the whole idea of the Corsairs are back, because I love them. I love playing Corsair style lists, fast, hit you from anywhere, and then just escape, and it's fun to play that way. It's not necessarily always competitive, but it's really a ton of fun to play. So I really dig that, and I think they're a cool choice if you have the space to put them in. There's something your opponent might not expect.
And just to answer a couple of questions from Chad about JT's list. So yes, the Shroud Runners do count as Rangers because that's for outcast units. So they can complete the Ranger secondary. So they are very good at that. Baharath doesn't get reroll charges though from Samhain because he doesn't have the Craft World keyword. So he doesn't get the abilities from Samhain. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then before we move on to your Samhan list here, Daddy, another question we have in the chat here, someone who's pre-ordered the Eldar Codex. What's your guys' thoughts on Banshees versus Scorpions? So like Howling Banshees versus Striking Scorpions. Two classic Eldari assault units. Starting with UJT, what are your thoughts on the two units?
I have lots of both in metal, so I will be fielding both. You know what? Karandras is pretty cool. His stat line is pretty solid. I'm kind of leaning toward Banshees right now, simply because the shut-off Overwatch I think is really good, and I'm used to that with Cult of Strife. So I kind of rely on that as a bit of a crutch. But the fact that right now Banshees, even if they multi-charge, they shut off Overwatch to everybody. So it's like if I get my Banshees close enough and I shut down your entire Tau gun line, good luck, right? I mean, okay, maybe you can shoot me in combat, but I think it's going to be really hard to shift them. And I think Banshees leading a charge, I take that over Striking Scorpions, even though the new Scorpion chainswords are fantastic. They're really strong. But I think that that's what sways it for me. The fact that I can have the Banshees just run in and shut down a whole bunch of units really quick and really make my opponent's life difficult.
Yeah. So Danny, what does Striking Scorpions bring to the table now? JT did a great job explaining what Howling Banshees do. So what are the upsides of Scorpions?
Funny story, I'd probably take Scorpions. So and like the reason I would take Scorpions, I like the mortal wound generation that they do from their Manda Blasters. I think that's really solid. They are core, so they can benefit from Doom. So if you Doom something before you charge it, like Banshees will do a lot of damage to it, like with 1 damage. But there's a lot of invulnerable saves out there right now. And Scorpions just being able to bypass that by potentially just fishing for 6s and rerolling as many wound dice as you want is pretty good. They're also strength 5, which is a nice benefit over the Banshee strength 4, especially against toughness 5 models or toughness 8 models. Also toughness 5 models. Now Banshees do get +1 to wounds, so there's kind of maybe some interplay there. But I think both units are great. I just like the advanced deploy on the Scorpions potentially is also nice. Their Exarch for this, well, I don't know. I was going to say the Exarch is better, but he's probably not. He's probably about the same. I think they're both really great units. Also 3+ armor save on the Scorpions is pretty clutch, especially if you're hanging out in terrain. Making them a 2+ is pretty good.
Nice. Well, Danny, I think we've teased it out long enough here. Why don't we go over your fast little Samhain list?
Okay. So JT and I have some similar units. We definitely have a lot of Shining Spears. JT has 12. I took 16. I also took like as many bikes as I could. So I've got a little patrol. I've got my Autarch with his jump generator and fusion gun, banshee mask, all that stuff. So I can use him to deny Overwatch if I really want to. He's pretty fast. I've got a couple units of fire dragons that hang out in falcons, which is cool because you can basically just drop them and they come in and then they can roast something, which is great. Fire dragons have a lot of utility. I also took the Farseer's Skyrunner with the Sunstorm bike. So Sunstorm, it gives him OBSEC, which is really good. I've got a couple of Ranger squads from advanced deployed, maybe blocking off some of those scout moves that my opponent can do if I really want to, like especially Tau and things like that. You really have to have that stuff right now. And then I've got a lot of Wind Riders. I have 15 Wind Riders in this list. Now, I didn't upgrade them with any guns because I didn't feel like I had to. I feel like they're okay just as they are. They do get battle focus, which is really cool. So you can kind of like peek them like around terrain, shoot something with 18-inch. Now that shuriken catapults are 18 inches, each squad puts out 20 shuriken catapult shots, which is great. I think they're really, really good. And then I have a lot of Shining Spears. Shining Spears are good. I chose 2 units of 5 with Star Lances, and these are gonna kind of be like my maybe second and third turn assaults if I want to. And then the big squad has the Expert Lancers, so I can really break something. That gives all the Shining Spears +1 to hit on the turn that they charge, so they're hitting on 2s, which is pretty nice. And then finally, I have 2 units of 3 Shroud Runners. So these are kind of, I can do actions with these guys. I can snipe stuff. Like JT was talking about, they also just get a lot of shots. Like they get, like each one of those units puts out 18 shots, and they're ballistic skill 2+. So like they've got that going as well, and they're I think they're a 2+ armor save and cover. So they can kind of hang out and cover and maybe do some actions if I want, or not, or they can just shoot stuff if I have to. So I have a lot of options with this list. It is definitely more melee centric than like the last list that we showed with Ulthway. But yeah, I don't know. I want to play this a bunch. It's kind of got kind of a lot of surgical precision, right? So I'm going to be removing units and then trying to hide as much as I can. Especially with things like the Falcons and the Fire Dragons and things like that, just being able to come down and eliminate something is pretty clutch.
Mm-hmm. JT, what's your take on Danny's SM-Man list here?
Oh, I love the Falcon Fire Dragon combo. I think that's fantastic. I think Eldar
The
have
6th
some of the
edition
best transports
classic.
in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. I even like Fugan. I think he's pretty cool too, but he's expensive. But the Fire Dragons are fantastic for the points you spend on them, and for dropping out in Falcons. I mean, it's clutch. They can just nuke stuff, and I love that aspect of it. So many Wind Riders. Oh, dude, that's fantastic. That makes my heart sing. I have so many of them at home. It's crazy. You went heavier on the Shining Spears. I was tempted to as well, but I love the Vipers.
Yeah.
I've got a little more standoffish with that, and that's the difference I think between our two lists. I agree. Wind Riders with just stock Wind Riders are fantastic, and an 18-inch range is absolutely brilliant. But to be able to do the same battle focus from 36 and shoot out 36 shots from a big unit or 30 shots from a unit of 5,
sure,
is I think it fits in the list as well and plays a little bit more of that standoffish and stay back kind of game. So it's very similar yet very different. You're much more precision focused with that list, where my list really wants to rush you and really wants to press you, which and the thing I love about this codex is, and this is like first, okay, let's go through this for a day or two here and see what we come up with. Man, I've come up with so many more lists already. Like even when we're talking about it, stuff is changing in my head because it's a really well-written codex, and it really, really gives you a lot of different ways to play. And I think Games Workshop's got a real winner on their hands, man. This is a really good book.
For sure.
Take a quick break here for questions from the chat. Joel's asking us what units are bad in the Codex, because, guys, we're loving on a lot of them here. Dan Salmon's here replied with Dark Reapers that maybe did suffer from being uber popular for the past couple of years. But JT, Danny, what are your opinions and kind of what you've seen? What are some not so great units out of this book?
Jeez.
I think everything
Dark Reapers art is good.
Right? Like
I think it does. Yeah.
Yeah. I personally, all right. And JT, I apologize for this. I don't really like Vipers very much. I agree. Dark Reapers are not great right now. They're not in a good place. But like those are really the only units off the top of my head that I think are just like, and they're not even bad, right? Like they're not bad. They're just not like as good as some of the other choices, maybe. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
I love Vipers simply because I love the bike aspect, that it's still a bike. It moves crazy fast. It has a big gun, but it's not bad.
No. And like GT, I think if you take Vipers in like the superior shurikens list and you give them shuriken cannons, like they're deadly. There's a lot of shots for the amount of points they cost. So
I was playing around with shuriken lists and superior shurikens, and then the not Grim Resolve. There's the other one that any 6 to hit is an auto 6 to wound as well.
Yeah. That's
one of the custom craft worlds,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can give it 3-inch extra range, and you can make any 6 to hit count as a 6 to wound, which means it triggers your shuriken.
Right.
So, oh my goodness.
Well, and
wow.
Spoiler alert, that's my custom list. Like that
Matt,
will be
what a great segue, guys. As we move on to the custom craft worlds here. Starting, of course, here, I'm assuming, I haven't seen the site, but with JT's custom craft world. JT, take us through this.
So I took Wrath of the Dead, which allows anything with a Wraith construct keyword to heroically intervene, which means your Wraith Guard, your Wraith Lords, your Wraith Seer, which is technically, I think it has the Eldritch Wraith build right now, so it might be different. But they can heroically intervene like characters. I also have a Wraith Knight in this list because I just love the concept of a heroically intervening Wraith Knight. Like, oh, you're 3 inches away, are you? Hello, here I come. And that's what I built this around. Now, I was gonna take the reroll charges, custom craft world because there's a lot of close combat elements in this. But I actually went with superior shurikens, and the reason I did was that extra 3 inches I think can actually help this list more than the reroll charges. I have enough casters in here that I can get Ghost Walk off, which is the +2 to charge. So I'm not super worried about that. And I got double Wave Serpent, again with Star Engines to give them a 3-inch extra move that are going to have 5 Wraithguard with D-Scythes and then 5 Wraithguard with the swords. I don't think the axe is worth its points as much anymore. It's only 5 per model. Yes, they get a big invuln save, but the fact that you get, I think it's 5 attacks per Wraith with the swords, I think that's enough. And sure, they're only 1 damage, but there's so much -1 damage out there that a 2 damage axe just doesn't really appeal to me. I don't really need to worry about them staying in combat very long because they're going to chew through most stuff that I throw them at. So it starts with a battalion with 2 Spirit Seers to ride with the Wraith squads in the Wave Serpents, and then a Farseer on foot, which I probably would give him Falchu's Wing so that he can move 12. And now with Falchu's Wing, if you fly over a unit, you actually do mortal wounds to it on a 2-up, I think, as well, which is really cool for that relic. So you get the movement almost of a Farseer on a bike without having to spend the extra 35 points. Wraithguard with the Flamers because they can shoot in combat. So if I actually manage to tie something up in combat, they can shoot it. And because they can heroically intervene, I should be able to get close enough to push through an opponent after moving my Wave Serpents like 17 inches up on the first turn. They should be able to just about hit anything. The Wraith Lord with a glaive and 2 shuriken cannons again, longer range for the shuriken cannon, so he doesn't necessarily have to shoot what he's charging, and he has the 2 shuriken, the 2 regular shuriken guns instead of the flamers, which is still +3 inches, so 21 inches and 27 inches he's shooting at. A Wraith Seer with a shuriken cannon, and then a Warwalker with 2 shuriken cannons as well. Again, shuriken range so that I can stand off with the elements that I want to stand off with, and I can close with the elements I want to close with. Double Wave Serpent, Star Engines again, so they're super quick. And then the super heavy Wraith Knight. Now, at 450 points, he's a third of the list or a quarter of the list. It actually, the cool new setup now, you can have the Wraith Cannon and you can have the actual sword. So you can replace your scatter shield with a gun. And I thought that was really cool, so I did it.
Cool.
You don't have to, but I thought I wanted to, so I did. And gave him 2 shuriken cannons because why not? Because I've got extra range of my shuriken, so he could threaten and press. Now, in play, I actually think 3 Wraith Lords or Wraith Lords and Wraith Seers in combination are better than the Wraith Knight, but I haven't been able to play a Wraith Knight for almost 2 editions, and I want to play him again. So that's literally why it's in the list. It's way too many points. It's still ridiculously strong. It's super good. I think the Avatar actually rivals it for killing power, and is half the points almost. But I really love Wraith Knights, and I think they're cool, and I want to play them. So I'm going to do it. That's my thing.
Danny, what are your thoughts on Custom Craft World Bone Daddy Ghosts?
Interesting. I haven't seen a build like this yet. I definitely like to see it on the table. I'm interested to see how good Wraith stuff is. Because I love that stuff. That's like those are my favorite Eldar models. So
now, something you mentioned on when we did our Codex review or kind of this book was you felt that the Wraith units were a little overcosted for what they were. That's my gut reaction. I don't know if that's true or not, though. Like, I'd want to put them on the table and really make sure that's the case. 200 points is a lot for 5 models, but they are very good models.
15 wounds.
Don't get me wrong.
15 wounds, toughness 6, I think.
Toughness 6, yeah,
and -1 damage, and they're core.
They are,
so they can be protected. They can be guided. They can be all sorts of things.
If they had some kind of really invulnerable save built in, I think maybe I'd be more I consider them a little bit more. But I hear you.
Also, Dan Simmons quite rightly points out here real quick that you can't shoot Wraith guns into combat because now they have the blast keyword.
The D-sights specifically, you can't shoot into combat. The Wraith cannons you can.
No.
Yeah, the Wraith cannons you can.
Yeah,
one of them has blast, one of them doesn't. Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, did I see blast on the flamers? Maybe I didn't. Maybe that's my mistake. Still, the ability to shoot them in combat with heroically intervening an entire unit. I mean, even if it's cannons, it's cannons cost you another 25 points. Like,
yeah,
I'm toe to toe with your Rhino, your Repulsor, your whatever the heck it is, and it's gonna die now.
now
Your
yeah.
Storm Surge. Right.
Some more questions from the chat for you guys here before we go into your list here, Danny. Get Cracking here on YouTube seems to be saying that Storm Guardians, not quite sure what their role is now in the new book and with their new rules. Danny, kind of what is your take here on the Storm Guardians in this book?
Objective holders. Like, just think about them like this. Like, they're I think they're cheerleaders. Like, they're not going to go out and try and take stuff from your opponent. Even if you load them up in a Wave Serpent and that kind of stuff, like with fusion guns or something like that, they're still not. It's. I mean, they have like literally an Imperial Meltagun. Like, it's not the same as the Fire Dragon's fusion gun. So, like, I don't think they're good at that. But like, consider this, right? They're 4-up armor save now. They have, with the Serpent Scale Shield, they're 5-up invul, and they're like the mini transhuman. So you stick them in cover. Now they're a 3-up save. Like, they're kind of durable. Like they're not bad at just sticking around.
Mm-hmm. And JT,
yeah, I mean, even at toughness 3.
Yeah,
even at toughness 3, hitting the fact that you still have to the minimum you're going to win them on is 3s, unless you're throwing heavy duty stuff at them, and they still get a 5-up invulnerable save. 10 bodies that can just camp out on an objective or lock out your ability for your opponent to deep strike. I think it's fantastic. I think that's exactly what they for 100 points. They basically camp your backline and keep your opponent from coming in to take you out. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then last one here from the chat for just now. Dire Avengers seem pretty nasty. What do you guys think of Dire Avengers in this book?
Yeah, let's talk about my list, John.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, well, let's talk about your list then, and then we'll talk about Dire Avengers.
All right, so I do have a slight typo. I don't have Superior Shurikens in this list. It's Hail of Doom. My mistake. So Hail of Doom is the 6s to hit auto wound with Shuriken weapons at AP, like they get the Shuriken keyword, so they're AP -3. An extra AP -2 on top of what they already are. So this list has this is actually, I think, kind of close to the competitive list. I think is really good. Like, this kind of just can leaf blower some armies right off the table. So you have 3x10 Dire Avengers with twin catapult Exarchs, Azerman, a Farseer with the objective secured bike, Fire Dragons with Blazing Fury. So that gives them +4 inches on their range to just make them even more cagey because I only have the 1 unit of them. I have 2 Wraith Lords with double Shuriken Cannons and Ghost Glaives. Again, amazing unit. I've got 10 Banshees with Mirror Swords and Piercing Strike, which gives +1 damage to the Exarch's weapons. So the Exarch gets to throw out 10 attacks at Strength 4 with +1 to wounds and 2 damage. So that's pretty good. I heard that was good. I don't know. Then I've got a Falcon with double Shuriken Cannons, and I've got 4 Wave Serpents with triple Shuriken Cannons, more or less. So this list is all about just pumping the shots into people and see how many 6s you can roll. Just consider the Dire Avengers, right? Like, each unit puts out 33 shots that hit on 3s, and I can guide them or I can doom the target. And so mobile fighters is the other half of this. So whenever somebody disembarks from a transport, they get +1 to wound. So not only are they auto wounding at AP -4 on 6s to hit, they're also potentially getting 6s to wound with rerolls from Doom. And they get +1 to wound on the turn they get out of their transports. So these guys are throwing out 33 shots I think they do against a toughness 7 or less target. I think that has a normal 3-up armor save. I think they do something stupid like 10 wounds or something like that per squad. So they can even kill tanks. And that's against something that they're not wounding on 3s or not wounding on 4s and then get +1 to wound. Gross. The Banshees, they don't get +1 to wound because they already get +1 to wound, so that's kind of a moot thing on them. But it does give me kind of a counter assault unit that I can kind of hide in a Wave Serpent. And then the Wave Serpents are all just gunboats. They fly around, they shoot you with all of their Shuriken. They get 9 Shuriken shots each that are 2 damage. And then the Falcons get also 6 shots of that, and they have a Pulse Laser. So the Pulse Laser is Strength 9 -3, Damage D3 +3. With 2 shots, so that's more anti-tank that this potentially has. So And then the Wraith Lords are a great backup unit. Like, they're going to be taking the mid table. They've got 2 shuriken catapults each, plus 2 shuriken cannons. So they're also doing a bunch of damage with this trait. Like, it all just kind of works together.
You like it just works. JT, what's your take on this tryhard list that Danny made up here?
Honestly, I might have to go change my pants. I should have worn the white shorts. You know what I mean? Like, holy crap! This is such a cool list. What I love about it is, and not only so I'm going to pat myself on the back. I built almost this list sitting down this afternoon after I sent you guys this stuff off, and I went, I wonder if I put Sermon and Dire Avengers and started playing around with it. And I got to tell you, I think Dire Avengers are going to be really, really good. I think you're going to see a lot of them on the table simply because of the list that Danny's put together here. This kind of thing. They're super strong. A Sermon is really good. He's got first of the Phoenix Lords or something, so he actually has a 3-up invulnerable save.
3-up invul.
We all know how rare that is. So suddenly he's got, I mean, he's custode level of power, so that alone means he's got to be good, at least with a 75% win rate. So that's important. But that said, I love the fact that Shuriken with +1 to wound the moment you get out of a transport, and there's no reason you can't hop back in and move again and do it again.
Yep.
And just cycle through with 4 Wave Serpents and 2 Falcons. You can just cycle units through and constantly be harassing and pounding an opponent, even if their toughness 5, 6, 7 doesn't matter. You're still going to be wounding at a pretty respectable rate, and it's going to put so much pressure on people that, again, from range too, because Dire Avengers are 18-inch range or 24-inch range?
They're 18-inch range. Yeah,
they're 18. So but still, that's a 1.5 feet away. You don't even have to risk getting close enough to get charged.
Well, and you can get out,
nuts.
right? You can get out, JT, shoot them at 18, and then back up D6.
Exactly. You can get out, shoot them, and then, jump behind your Wave Serpent so that it's in your way now, right? It's like, this stuff is so cool.
and another thing about this list too is if they blow up the Wave Serpent, right, and you lose 1 or maybe 2 Dire Avengers, which is probably statistically average for when you lose a vehicle like that. Now they got a 2 CP stratagem where they get to shoot twice.
Yeah, and they get better when they lose models, don't they? Dire Avengers.
What's that?
They get angrier. Don't Dire Avengers?
Yeah,
get
they get angry
when they lose a model?
when you lose one.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm waiting to see how many people actually field Dire Avenger models and not just Guardians with fins on their heads, because I think they're actually that good. I think they're actually potentially that good. Yeah, they moved to elites, but a Sermon takes that back and puts him into OBSEC, and with him between a couple of units, I think they're going to just dominate some short range, mid range shooting. You thought Cow shot a lot.
Just wait.
Dire Avenger spam is going to shoot. Oh, I don't. My Raiders are going to just explode.
Coming soon to a 3D printing site near you, Space Elf heads with peacock feathered hats and nothing else.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. That's been it. And thanks. Did we describe that? One of our friends asked us the difference between Dire Avengers and Guardians, and didn't I call them murder peacocks? I think it was how I referred to Dire Avengers.
That's pretty good. I haven't heard that before.
It's pretty good. Yeah.
Murder peacocks. That's good. Yeah,
amazing. Guys. 6 amazing Aeldari lists. We're all winners because we're gonna have to be dealing with this book for a while. Dan Sammons, thank you so much for pointing out. Yeah, the flamers were changed to blast to stop oppressive things like what JT was trying to do from happening.
JT,
even if it makes me a little sad. They're blast now instead of flamers. But the Aeldari book is really, really good. There's a bunch of great combos. There's not a ton of really bad units. There's just better choices in slots. And really the game is at its best. When you don't have bad units, you just have better choices.
Yep.
Amazing. Cool.
Makes sense.
Cool.
Yeah.
Guys,
love
JT, plug your stuff before we send you away back to the 1960s.
Back to where models were made out of lead. Of
And
course,
men
you
were
can
men.
you can catch me on playing tabletop. I'm on a bit of a hiatus right now while I'm working through some medical issues, but nothing major, nothing bad. Just need to take some time away and focus on that. But I'll be back. Don't worry about that. You can always catch me up to date on at Instagram at JT Custom Paintworks, spelt with K's because K's are cool. It's a silver skull. You can't miss it. It looks very 80s retro, so you'll love it. It looks much like the bedroom that I'm sitting in right now, where I've got the epic wood paneling, and it actually smells like it looks. Like I'm telling you, you can smell this room. You really can.
Oh,
Lead paint
Amazing.
and everything.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, guys. Danny, great lists. JT, great lists. Again, the Aeldari Codex available for pre-order now. Danny and I will be back next week with more fun, probably some bad jokes, and
Thirdly.
really our little show about nothing. So from Danny, JT, myself, we will see you Monday.